I still can't get enough of the gameplay demo we saw for Horizon Forbidden West. I'm insanely impressed. I, of course, did my live reaction, so now it's time to do a deep dive into the new gameplay systems, but also the big changes they made compared to Zero Dawn. I will go over the new weapons, abilities, and so much more. So a like on the video would, of course, really help me out. And let's go. I want to start with the announcement of a new Forbidden West giveaway for PS4 or PS5, which will end a few days before the release when we know the date. You can already enter via the link in the pinned comment, and as always, these giveaways are only for subscribers of the channel. So good luck. There are quite a lot of interesting gameplay features hidden in the footage. Like sure, they talked about the shield wing that will let us glide from high places to avoid fall damage. Or we can likely pair it with the strike from above skill to more easily take out enemies that way. They are doing a smart solution for climbing in the Forbidden West. So in the first game we of course had to look out for yellow things we could grab onto, like they would always be in the world. But now we have to use the new focus scanner first to reveal things that we can climb. Like here we see Aloy run towards these pillars, but we see no climbing indication. But the moment you use the scanner, they will reveal itself, so you know how to navigate the environment. Again, I think it's a smart middle way. It's not full-on freeform climbing, but it feels more part of the world instead of like being an obvious gameplay element. And the new pullcaster will help us reach points that are further away or let us get away in sticky combat situations. Like we will be able to use the environment way more during combat, which I think just looks awesome. Before we go in depth on the combat, I first want to touch real quick on the diving mask that we of course saw in the first trailer, and now in the gameplay we see Aloy use it again, basically meaning that we can stay underwater for an unlimited time, which is great. I never like it when games give you this bar, so you're always stressed out and don't want to stay underwater for too long. I'm still curious how underwater combat will play out though, because we of course saw the Snapmaw again and the new burrowers that looked really cute but should be dangerous. Like you would think that there is underwater combat, right? But what is interesting is that the moment Aloy would dive, the combat UI disappeared. And maybe that's because we got out of combat, but I still thought it was interesting. And let's look at the UI, because next to the familiar weapon and ammo type, we see two new icons with bars next to them. And the purple bar is for the new Valor Surge we see Aloy do against the big Tanax enemy, creating this enormous shock blast. And you see after this attack that the bar is empty and the icon is a bit darker too. And it seems to, by the way, refill after killing an enemy, because after Aloy takes the guy out, we got a small bit of the purple bar back. And also when going into combat against the Tremor Tusk a little later on in the demo, the bar is full again, so maybe it also refills over time. But yeah, this is probably one of the many Valor Surge types we can put on our melee weapons. And I say melee weapons because this is what Matthijs de Jonge said during the stream.
For close range combat, the spear is an excellent option.
Okay, it's an option, meaning that we have more choices for melee weapons than. I would overall be shocked if there weren't other melee weapons, but I guess they wanted to save it and focus on the new moves for the spear instead. Because where in Horizon Zero Dawn we only had the light attack with some different animations and the heavy attack with R2, which takes a bit longer to do, in Forbidden West Aloy already starts with a sort of sprint or slide attack and then follows up with what seems to be the light attack combo, with the final slash dealing more damage and covering a wider area. And also after the combo, she is in slow motion for a short time, which seems to be a skill to chain melee with ranged attacks, so you have time to charge your shot. And every bow in the Forbidden West seems to have the Banuk charging mechanic that in Horizon Zero Dawn was of course exclusive to the brand new bows that we got during the Frozen Wilds DLC. Because later we see her switch to the Tanact ranged sharp shot bow, so actually a bow from the new Tanact tribe that we are fighting now, which you can also charge up, and then it will actually zoom in further when fully charged, which is also new. In Zero Dawn we could only like zoom in with the concentration skill. And fully charging your shot with the crosshair changing as well in Zero Dawn meant that you would deal double damage, by the way, so curious if that's the same in Forbidden West. And then there's so much to go over in the weapon wheel alone. For one, we can now have 6 weapons equipped at the same time instead of 4, so we can have a way more diverse loadout. And this, by the way, the first time we see Aloy use the weapon wheel in the demo. Real quick, the crafting is back, as we see below the wheel, just like the shards and the ridgewood needed to craft the advanced arrows for the Nora Elite Hunter bow. So they changed the name of the hardpoint arrows from the Hunter's bow to the advanced arrows, because you see the same icon and actually the same cost compared to Horizon Zero Dawn. They are slightly better though in the Forbidden West, looking at the damage and the tier difference, also confirming that tier, of course the remove parts from the enemy, is back in the Forbidden West. And I would not be surprised if we start the Forbidden West with this bow. One, it's the same bow we saw in the first trailer, which was kind of an introduction to that world, where Aloy was also wearing the Nora Brave armor. The Forbidden West takes place 6 months after the main game. Aloy is a Nora Elite, so makes sense that she already has some powerful gear when we start this journey. And also the bow looks the same as the Shadow Hunter bow from Zero Dawn, which is also of the purple rarity. So I think we start the sequel with this weapon. So let's go over these other weapons. A completely new one is the Oseram Forge Blast Spike Thrower. And we of course saw Oseram in the opening cutscene of the demo. So they will also be in the Forbidden West. And Erend is of course also part of this Oseram tribe. And with this weapon you can throw javelin that explode after a brief moment. If we go to the weapon wheel, we also see a new icon next to the damage, maybe indicating explosive damage or something. And also crafting these javelins cost completely new resources. I think we see Blaze as a resource again when Aloy selects the Karja adhesive blast sling, but also something looks like a lens from a machine, but then now as a crafting resource could also be something new. What is interesting is that this blast sling has 3 new ammo types, and she's now using the adhesive grenades that, as we saw in the demo, is slowing down the machine and also make sure that everything like sticks together. It looks pretty powerful. And now if we look at that Tanact Ranger Sharpshot bow again, I think we see a different icon for the tear arrow compared to Zero Dawn. I first thought it was a shock arrow because it looks a lot like the shock arrow we also see, but instead, it's purple. And that shock arrow we of course see is for the war bow that Aloy is not using here, but we do see it in the weapon wheel with the freezing arrow too. But instead of a corruption arrow, which we saw in Horizon Zero Dawn, it now has a regular damage arrow, which is also new for warbows. In Zero Dawn, the warbows only had elemental arrows, no regular damage. And Aloy is also not using the ropecaster, but we do see it in the weapon wheel. And this weapon is of course amazing against stormbirds, for example, to put them on the ground. So I'm sure it will come in handy during the Forbidden West as well. So the key takeaway is that the Forbidden West seems to bring back every weapon from the main game, but with new ammo types and combos that we did not see before. And also with their own special ability. Because yes, that orange bar is for the special weapon abilities that we see Aloy do at the end to take out the Tremor Tusk, because it's empty after she's finished with the attack. And what is interesting is that every weapon type I just mentioned has a different ability. For the Hunter's Bow, it's the High Volley. For the new Spike Thrower, it's the Rocket Shot. The Blast Sling has sticky grenades, and the Sharpshot Bow has emplaced shot, which we actually see Aloy use at the end. So you have to select the right weapon for specific abilities, but damn, that promises a lot of variety and makes getting a completely new weapon type even more exciting. And also the customization of these weapons seems to be deeper than before, thanks to a new workbench that Matthijs de Jonge mentioned during the stream. And I think that is the level we see under each weapon, likely increasing the base stats of all the ammo types. But we don't see these potential upgrade icons for the Blast Sling, maybe indicating that we cannot upgrade that weapon. They are, by the way, going to talk more about that workbench in the future, so really curious about that. I hope it's more than just one single upgrade path. And the final thing we see in the weapon wheel are, of course, the mods. So that system will be back to further enhance the damage or elemental effectiveness of our ammo, and where in Zero Dawn the rarity would indicate the amount of mod slots on the weapon, that's not the case in the Forbidden West, because the green Blast Sling has 2 mod slots while the blue Spike Thrower has only 1. Maybe this is also linked to the upgrade level, but it's still interesting that it's a little more complex this time around. And there are more interesting things that I want to go more in depth on in future videos, like what is up with the highlighted gear from the enemies. Well, I got a theory, so I will save that for the next video, because trust me, otherwise we will be here for a really long time. Of course, if you found cool things in the demo, email me to input@JorRaptor.com or drop it in the comments down below. Subscribe to be up to date on everything regarding Horizon Forbidden West. A like on the video would really help me out. You can check out my previous Forbidden West video by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.